the cloud computing market, just in general, because I think there's a lot of confusion here about what is the cloud. People are pitching it 60 ways till Sunday, and really what is it? So there seems to be two real core flavors here. Is a public cloud, where you're getting, what you're seeing down here is like a single application delivery. Let me get some pen color. So, and then you're also getting, a single application delivery, which is really related to public cloud. And then what you're getting is this private cloud here, which my image looks a little weird. But the private cloud is really anything that's a dedicated server and something that's dedicated to you. With GP in general, it's going to favor, Microsoft's pushing hard to offer this kind of shared service model. The difficulties being is that when you try to deliver Great Plains into the model, private cloud seems to work because the software was actually originally built to go ahead and deliver on that model. So it's dedicated systems because of the third-party software pieces. But you'll hear a lot of people out there in today's market wanting to give you a server delivery. So maybe you'll get Amazon or Azure, Microsoft, accessing their environments to their dedicated servers. But the key problem that you run into in those marketplaces is that you lose control. For certain things that you need to do within Great Plains, you won't be able to do at this time. They're working hard to actually correct for that. They're coming out with offerings in the Azure cloud, but in the Amazon cloud marketplace, people have tried, and it's just a level of control that you kind of lose. And also here, there's also rack providers. So these are similar people out there in the market that actually just take servers like you have in your facilities and stick them into racks. So I would call this a private cloud offering for sure, but I would also say that we're just putting another rack in a server. You'll be paying for that because you'll end up buying the equipment, but they'll lease it to you, is the model that follows. Okay? Data resolution is all private cloud, 100% dedicated to you with full administrative capabilities. Okay. So, when you see, some people say that they're private cloud and they're not shared, but the key factor to know that they're shared or not shared is whether or not they'll give you administrative control. If they don't give you administrative control, what that means is that it is shared somewhere and they can't give it to you because they'd show all their customers. The number one the top 10 things that are interesting about the cloud is that the hosting costs have come down. And as a rule, if you think about email in the past, email started out at about $50 a user online in 2000. Its price is now hovering around $8 to $10 per user. So the cost will actually, over time, with the economics of the cloud and the people driving to it, it's kind of like when you get a TV off the line. The first plasma screen TV, I think, was $50,000, and now it's $500. So it's going to continue to grow like that. Economics will actually include more and more value and make it really a predictable monthly cost. I think this is to the extreme too. We have customers in this model that we've been doing that's fixed price for 15 years. They haven't actually had an increase in 15 years being business with us. Like they're most extremes. But most of our customers enjoy just a flat monthly fee. They don't have to worry, hey, you know what, we need another backup tape unit, or we need another server, or our hard drives get replaced, or we need more RAM. All that's included, so it really levels out the cost and then allows you to pay for what you use, like I just said. And then, like I just talked about it a second ago, the CapEx versus OpEx. And it's just an overall, better value. The second point here is that the top 10 is that with IT staff, I think this is a very important point, is that we're not looking here to replace IT staff, or actually we're looking to augment them and refocus. Security, also with security, it has increased security with the cloud because of the level of capabilities that we have with the infrastructure that was provided. So when we put in infrastructure, we're putting in to higher security levels. So we offer capabilities to come and have government hosted. So we host several different government agencies in the U.S. and in the UK, and also in several small Caribbean countries. So for us to be able to have that level of security is much more than most customers can afford, and then it allows us, we have to get audited for that, and it's just a deeper security overview. And also, a lot of times we can find ourselves having to meet specific industry needs, like PCI compliance or SOX compliance, something of that nature. Also, the encryption level, is kind of built in, so we establish communications through that are always encrypted. So when we run communications to your facilities, it'll probably be through VPN or through a secure ID, which is a banking level security. So a lot of those are some examples of how security can actually be increased within the cloud. It's a very warranted top concern for a lot of people. So a lot of times too, people will move to the cloud because they've got some kind of inciting incident. My servers need to get replaced. They're 6 years old, and I don't know what I want, but I don't want to have to invest in this again. So replacing outdated servers is one of the things that people are interested in when they move to the cloud level equipment. And what you'll get in here is a failover time, meaning on a failover in a single data center, you'll be able to failover from one server to the other within 150 milliseconds. Those are SLAs. And most of the time, it just takes about a millisecond. So if we lost, a very common thing that can happen is hard drive failure, or some kind of board level failure, or some kind of device that's on the system, the computer. Well, if that happens in our environment, it'll actually switch over within 150 milliseconds. The second thing that we offer in the cloud that's capability is keeping you up and making sure running, so we can actually fail over to a second data center. And so if we lose, let's say in Los Angeles we get a flood, or we fall off into the ocean, whatever happens, then it would actually fail over into our DC data center, for example. And disaster recovery, most of the time customers can't afford disaster recovery because of the cost, not that they wouldn't want to have it, but it's kind of an insurance policy. So if we lost everything at one data center, you'd still be up and running. So uptimes for us are a lot better. Matter of fact, our uptimes actually exceed Microsoft's uptimes. So, but example of the cloud is that even if you went with a Microsoft solution for online solutions, even if they went down, the capability for them to recover quickly is a lot better than most companies can do. You want to make sure, because Great Plains, for example, was built in an on-premise product. It is about to be releasing a web version. So access methods that we have for you to get on the systems are Citrix. We have a web client that you can actually log on through a web client. And then we also have the Microsoft web client. So there's a couple different ways to get to your systems, or just straight through the browser. So one of the things that you'll get in this, built into the fixed fee model within all the cloud providers, like I was saying with email itself in the beginning didn't have support. It was additional. And the same thing with Dynamics. Dynamics, in the beginning here with network support, we used to charge for support. Now it's actually included. All the actual support for your network engineering, the actual servers, server support, all that's built in, and it's also has 24/7. So if there's a problem, we're monitoring for it, we're looking for a problem. If there's an upgrade, we'll work with Bond, for example, to help you with the upgrade. Part of that support is we'll actually replicate your existing environment, copy it to a new environment, and then when that's copied, Bond will come in and do the upgrade, for example. And then you guys can test against the upgrade. When we're ready, we'll do one more switch. We'll switch over the database, and then we'll turn off the old server, turn on the new servers, and then the new servers will be the ones we run against. If there's a problem, we'll actually turn down the new servers and turn on the old servers. And that's all part of the service. So what to look for in providers? So it's not just us. Some of the things that we find to be important that when talking to people is making sure that people have the capability to tune the systems and that their infrastructure will actually be able to keep up. It's not sitting in a closet. It's not actually purchased on a single server by server basis. Those are some of the things I'd be looking for. Some of the other things I'd look for in making sure that they're where they're hosting it, where they're providing it, that they have more than one incoming data line. So if they only have a single data line or data feed from like AT&T, that's great. It might be high speed. But if that goes down, you're in trouble. So what we learned back in 2003, we actually used to do that. In 2004, we stopped doing that. And now, as a minimum, we offer 7 internet incoming lines. Another thing about that same thing is that their facilities that they're hosting them at, they may make sure that they have 2 sets of power sources that they're coming from. So let's say, for example, you might be buying Southern California Edison on both cases, but one's coming from grid A and the other one's coming from grid B. And they're 2 different grids from the power provider. Okay? And so those are some of the things that we look for, making sure that they have generators on site and all of those SSAE or SAS-70, which are now SSAE standards. I should have updated this deck a little bit more. But making sure that those are all there and in place. Technology, making sure that they're refreshing their technology on a regular basis. So some providers out there will continue to reuse as much as they can across the board. Service levels and reliability, making sure that built into your contract that you're getting SLAs, built in there. How much time will it take to fail over? How fast can I recover my backups? Do I have rights and capabilities to get copies of the servers? So if we're doing this all virtual for you, you should have the right or the capability to get snapshots of the entire environment, including the servers, and have those, in a virtual format you could spin up somewhere else. So a lot of providers out there won't let you have access to your data because, well, they're trying to tie it to payment. And what they're trying to do is make sure that they get paid. So they won't give you your data unless they get paid. In our model, you pay for what you use when you use it. So we're actually billing 1 month in advance. So it's not really an issue for us. We're paying because we're not paying for the licenses until that month. But you can actually, as a tertiary or, 4th level basically you can send the data and also the server images to an FTP source of your choosing, and we'll FTP it to you on a regular basis. So you can leave the service anytime you want, but more importantly, I think the value proposition is that you're not held hostage for your data. Some providers out there I know do this on a regular basis. And then, like I said, security and compliance, make sure your SAS-70, or in this case, a mistake in the deck is it should say SSAE Type 2, which is the latest and greatest certification. And then making sure that your support is, understandable, that when you're calling to talk to somebody, it's not just US-based, that you can actually understand what they're saying. And they understand you and understand your needs. One of the things I see in a lot of public cloud offerings is when you call up, they have no idea who you are, and more importantly, they're following a script, and that script if it doesn't fall in line with what your problem is, you're in trouble. So a lot of providers, too, like I said, a lot of them are single application delivery. They're one-hit wonders. They'll provide maybe, like I said, email only or SharePoint only or some combination of there. One of the things it's interesting about Dynamics in general is that it is really a multiple integrated software solution. All the Microsoft products, fold in there. CRM, SharePoint, Exchange, Office, all these kind of formulate the entire solution. So when you're looking for the cloud, you're looking to make sure that you can integrate just those core products, as well as, like you hear it saying, hey, you want to interact with, third-party warehouse management if you're doing that, or other, data sources that you may need to interact with. So some providers out there won't actually allow you to, or charge you for data throughput to get to another source. And that's what makes them really a one-hit wonder. They just, provide, NetSuite provides only just, NetSuite. And they don't really provide support for anything else. And that's what's interesting, is that they're ignoring that the rest of the market actually exists. Cloud is a strategic choice. You get to choose on-premise. You've got a lot of control and ownership, that's for sure. And you do, can actually support people very easily. It's nice to touch and feel the systems. You can do as much integration and anything you want with the system in an on-premise scenario. In an in-cloud scenario, you get rapid deployment, access anywhere, high use capability, always available, and it's all just for a flat fee. But what's interesting, though, is that I think the cloud, all of these things that are on-premise, as long as you have a private cloud, you're getting all of these things. You're not forfeiting any of that. And as long as you're actually the one that's controlling it, and you're, have the ability to use it and format it how you want, then really you've lost nothing other than a bunch of variable costs that you didn't need in the first place.